there was a research paper done by Dennis Culhane in the States, and it looked at how much it costs to have someone on the streets. So it costs about $40,000 to have someone on the streets, and the cost is going through the healthcare system, the criminal justice system. But to have this person in supportive housing, it costs about $20,000. And so the government's actually saving money by having these people in supportive housing. So I guess our point is that the government doesn't have to lose money or spend a whole bunch to put people in supportive housing. They're actually saving money. So a win-win sort of situation.
Great, thank you. How about this table right here?
We discussed the role of the private sector, and what's needed, we discussed, was a stronger sector or organization or agency or panel to test run a pilot or riskier development and to model it to the private sector, because this can be profitable to the private sector as well. These study checks can come in. People living in these housing things, they can actually keep their houses, get a job, and they can keep paying their checks, and it can be more profitable to the private sector than even renting out to the middle class. So basically, a really good example, a prime example of the way that this should be the way that it's happening.
Thank you. How about the table right behind you there?
We did the role of the private sector as well, and we actually quibbled a bit with some of the things that Maureen had said, but at the same time we really agree that the private sector does have an important role to play, and we have to make it worthwhile for them to get in there and play that role. So it's partly around financial incentives, what are let's look at our tax structures. Prime example of what local government can do is use things like density bonusing to allow private operators to actually make money and provide affordable housing. Anything else? Okay.
Thanks. How about this table right back here?
We discussed using economic arguments to create more political will, but also knowing exactly which politicians to target, specifically the provincial government over the municipal, since they have more control over money. We're also talking about using the media to showcase the issue and to create more of an embarrassment, especially with the Olympics coming up. There's going to be a lot of attention on Vancouver, so let's make sure that both sides of Vancouver are very clearly shown to the international community.
Well, if you're interested in that ladder idea, I know I want to talk to Wendy Peterson. How about this next table right here?
Okay, so we were talking, and it kind of seems a little bit repetitive, but we also said incentives. There needs to be tax incentives, density bonuses, stuff that makes sure that we have social housing and make sure that developers and provincial government and federal government and municipal government make sure that they do put money into this project and where it's needed. Because if you don't put it there, then there's no point in talking about it.
How about this next table back here?
We discussed political will, and we agreed that there needs to be more pressure coming from individuals and community groups. However, we noted that one of the challenges is challenging bureaucratic apathy within the government structures, and we don't know exactly how to get there. Our suggestion is to channel the incredible energy tonight and perhaps form an official network that comes out of the people's suggestions tonight and do some coalition building. We also have a question. We are interested in the agenda on December 12th that one of the speakers referenced, and we'd like to know more about that.
Okay. How about this table here?
Okay,
Well, we addressed atheism in our group, and we felt that better community consultation processes could help overcome the fear that sometimes felt within communities, and that would overcome stereotyping and education. And we felt that who could help with that would be nonprofit organizations, community organizations, and government all working together. And we felt that the resources to bring that all together would be money, of course, and then people who are engaged in housing issues at all different levels, and lastly, perhaps an official office that would be responsible for addressing Indian conditions.
Great. Okay, how about the table in the corner there?
We were looking at the points having to do with the role of not-for-profit, and among the things we thought is that really not-for-profits don't have to be part of a partnership between all levels of government, including housing crisis, and that this having a partnership in the community between government, private sector, not-for-profits who have the experience on the ground and have the experience in running these kind of things to actually address a lot of the problems like NIMBYism and that sort of thing. And yes, partnership is more costly than just throwing up a concrete apartment building, but there are a lot of benefits to that.
Great, thank you. How about this table right here?
We discussed not-for-profits as well, and we were perturbed by the fact that not-for-profits can't really do their work. There's too many regulations. We want less restrictions on their activities, and one way to get around it is to have more collaboration between NGOs. So you work as a collective, and one of those funding will be cut. Together with that goes encouraging volunteerism. Everybody can do their citizens' duty to speak up for what they believe in, partake in rallies, be on the media. Not last of course, there's funding. There's a lot of profits made, and some of these profits could be allocated to NGOs by increase. They have to allocate something back to the community.
Great, thank you. How about this table in the corner?
So others also looked at strengthening the role of nonprofits, and we spent our time focusing on 3 areas, and one is sharing the legacy and program development through internet resources as well as social forums. The second area is also the area of looking at media campaigns and media and the third area is advocacy and leadership, and looking at jurisdictions to see if other jurisdictions to see if laws that we have here around charity and nonprofits are being applicable to charity.
Thank you. You folks right here?
Okay, our table talks about NIMBYism as well, and we looked at one of the underlying reasons for NIMBYism is often a misunderstanding. So we thought, how could we look at that misunderstanding and perhaps addressing that through some sort of art project or that kind of thing, like where you can figure out what is actually going on with people's perceptions and then fund somebody to do that creatively. Another thing is also to perhaps interview people who are involved with NIMBYism and figure out what their real concerns are and build a mutual understanding based on that kind of see people not as just labels but as people. So that was one thing. Another thing we discussed is perhaps incorporating subsidized housing into every new development that goes up so that you share that or disperse or reduce NIMBYism by making it mandatory as well. And then another one is in order for that to succeed, we really need strong coalitions with citizen groups and the community in which housing is going to be going into. So making sure that the community is involved in the design and decision making before programs.
Great, thank you. And these folks here in the middle?
We looked at the question of political will. Where is it? Hard to get our hands around it. A couple things we realized is you get the most political will at the local level. We know about homelessness more than anybody, well, Saskatchewan maybe, they have it too. I shouldn't say that, but at the local level we really feel it. And oddly, the money is distributed much more to the higher levels of government. Municipalities have the least money and have the most political will, and that's a disconnect. So revenue sharing, changing in some of the tax laws, that would help. The other issue we looked at closely was the question of accountability. And while we might have a little more accountability at the local level, there isn't still very much. And we lack targets, we lack any action plan or any way of measuring whether anything was accomplished. You know, somebody sitting down and saying, did Rich Coleman actually deliver us 3,200 units? Is that really what he promised, or what's going on? And we just think maybe the one solution might be proportional voting. That allows then different groups to care about housing to win votes from disparate communities.
Okay.
We don't have that.
Thank you. And last but not least, this table.
We looked at NIMBYism, and we thought there were 2 main issues behind this, fear and selfishness. And some of the ways to deal with this could be education, communication, and awareness. And examples of this could be to create community events to stimulate awareness around these issues and to try to show people how these institutions make buses in their communities to the minus.
Great.